You're listening to a podcast by Way Collective, a contemplative community for love and liberation in Santa Barbara, California. This recording was the conversation starter at our dinner and dialogue gathering on November 20th, 2024. Thanks for tuning in. So these past couple of weeks, we have been looking at the theme of eco-spirituality, meaning the relationships between the natural world and our spiritual lives, and how nature informs and deepens our call to interconnectedness with the world around us. So at the retreat a couple of weeks ago, and then with Michael Kearney last week, we've been exploring the invitation to a deep resilience, which is forged in us when we rewild ourselves and when we can come back to our creatureliness. So last fall, we spent the entire time between September and Advent looking at beauty and how when beauty can get down into us, it does something to us. It changes us. And as we internalize the beauty of nature all around us, we find our place in the family of things, as Mary Oliver said. So if spirituality is the art of homecoming, then it might be said that no religion, no system of correct belief, no one can induce this sense of deep resilience and belonging for us in the way that nature can. Hopefully, all good religion and faith and spirituality puts us in touch with what is ultimately true. Ultimately, that we each belong here and that we have a place here in this world. But nature has this amazing ability to lure us into wonder and awe and ultimately to surrender. So tonight, on the cusp of Thanksgiving week, I just wanted to draw a connection and invite us into conversation around how this path of awe and surrender can lead us into a pretty amazing posture, which is one of gratitude. Gratitude is the product of this deep knowing that despite the atrocities and challenges we face in this life, life is inherently good. The wild reveals this to us. I know we've talked about it before, but Mary Oliver in her poem, The Summer Day, says, "I don't know exactly what a prayer is, but I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. So tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" What she's inviting of us is to learn how to pay attention, which I think is a beautiful definition of prayer, actually. When was the last time you knelt down in the grass or strolled through the fields? When was the last time you stared at a flower long enough that it transformed from a flower into a mystery? When was the last time you paid attention to the coast, so much so that the colors of the horizon blurred together and you lost yourself in the vastness of it? When was the last time you sat in a forest and dissolved into the collective life of the ecosystem around you? What happens in these kinds of moments is that there's a knowing that gets forged within us, a knowing that the world we inhabit, despite the election results, is good, and you have a place in it no matter what is going on. I remember when I was in the middle of chemotherapy a long while ago now, I would almost instinctively walk down to this park a couple of blocks from our old apartment and sit under this ficus tree, mainly because I just didn't even know what to do with myself. I couldn't make the numbness I was feeling from the medicine go away. I couldn't get myself out of the residual funk of enduring that hellscape of round after round of poison being infused into my body. God wasn't coming to save me and fix everything for me. The doctors were at least doing their best, but many of my prayers had run dry. Have you ever been in a place like that, where you were just sort of at the end of all your spiritual resources and you didn't know what else to do? And so I would just go and sit under the shade of this ficus tree, and I would stare out at the horizon of the harbor in the distance, And as the poet Juan Ramon Jimenez once said, nothing happened. Or has everything happened? And are we standing now quietly in the new life? I'm not saying anything magical happened there under that tree, but I knew that as I returned to it day after day, week after week, and then periodically month after month, I was learning something. I was brushing up against my own inner resilience. And similar to Michael's story about the Bodhi tree last week, it just so happened that this new kind of knowing was occurring in me because of some connection with the natural world around me. Now, it didn't make me grateful for my cancer. That's not the connection here. But what it did was allow me to encounter some new gratitude for life amidst my cancer. What is going on in your life where you need to see a wider horizon? Is there some struggle or some fear, some grief, or some place of inner concern that you need to place alongside a ficus tree, metaphorically speaking, you know? I wonder if what happens as we reconnect with nature is that our deepest concerns find a place to belong amongst a wider horizon. That horizon of the all-encompassing aspect of beauty. I won't spend too much time tonight zooming out to talk about the grandness of the universe and that beauty, and the seemingly endless vastness of all the starry wonder that surrounds our little galaxy in this miraculous corner of the cosmos. But the point is, we are all, each one of us and our planet, embraced by beauty, which I think is one of the best names for God. And sometimes we just need to know that. We need to know that so we can bow like Mary Oliver in that grass once again. I love that she says in the poem that we read during our pause moment tonight, "So be slow if you must, but let the heart still play its true part. Love still as once you loved, deeply and without patience. Let God and the world know you are grateful that the gift has been given." So when we're able to, despite the world's ills, encounter wonder and awe and surrender to them again in that childlike place that we each have within us, we can't help but see life as a gift. And I really don't mean to be dismissive here. The world is full of pain and threat and much suffering, and each of us know that in our own unique way, given our own life experiences of struggle and difficulty. But we can say that alongside saying, life is still a gift. This fall, we talked a lot about holding multiple truths together at once. It is true that life is full of pain and confusion, and it is true that life is a gift. One doesn't need to cancel out the other. In fact, I would go further and say that one can't cancel out the other. John O'Donohue once said that the contemplative endeavor that we are all invited into is to discover that place within us where the gentle eyes of beauty outstare the eyes of death. In essence, to find gratitude for the gift of life once again. So perhaps the encouragement for each of us as we head toward Thanksgiving week and are contemplating this theme of nature and eco-spirituality is to remember that the world is over and over announcing your place here. I love that word remember because it reminds me of one of our Christian sacred rituals of communion. Do this in remembrance of me. Right? But remembering isn't just looking back upon that Netflix menu of memories we each scroll through in our minds. It's about remembering, about re-embodying, or perhaps a better way to say it is embodying anew. To pursue an eco-spirituality in some sense is to embody anew the gift of life, to embody anew the gratitude that we can turn back toward the earth, tending to this place that is our common home. And the struggle and resilience of eco-spirituality is that we will be given thousands upon thousands of chances to embody gratitude anew on the other side of squalor and challenge and life's difficulties. So my hope and my prayer for each of us is that we say yes to pursuing this kind of resilience and gratitude, that amidst our body's innate reflex to recoil at the world's meanness and grief, that we can open ourselves once again. Perhaps it will take an intentional trip out into nature to do this, but oh, when we get up the courage to get out there. I love that the Scottish poet Kenneth White says, "This is the summit of contemplation, and no art can touch it. Blue, so blue that the far out archipelago and the sea shimmering, no art can touch it. The mind can only try to become attuned to it, to become quiet and space itself out, to become open and still, unworlded, knowing itself in the diamond country, in the ultimate unlettered light." So to become still enough to be open to the world again in all its beauty, like a blossoming flower, to uncover the hidden corners of our hearts where gratitude is still a burgeoning possibility. This is the invitation. And so I look forward to dialoguing with you all about these themes tonight. Let's chat. Thanks for listening to this podcast by Way Collective. To keep up with our community, you can subscribe to this podcast, go to www.waycollective.org, or follow us on Instagram at @waycollective. Peace and every good, y'all.